Hello and welcome to Geeking Out About It. My name is Chance Giguiere.
And I'm Sam Kuns.
And Sam, I know what we're going to do today.
That's great because so do I. We're going to be talking about Phineas and Ferb, a show that ran from 2007 to 2015 and follows two stepbrothers and their group of friends as they try to make every day of summer more memorable than the last with their crazy inventions.
Yeah, the show was created by Jeff Marsh and Dan Povenmire, both of which had some experience in the animation industry before, working on shows like Rocko's Modern Life and Family Guy. Now let's move on and meet some of our main characters. Starting off, we have Phineas. Phineas is the main stepbrother. He's the one who talks the most, and he is an incredible engineer and builder, but more than that, his real strength lies in his endless optimism and his loyalty to his friends, even when things go really sideways.
Up next we have Ferb, and he is the silent type of the two. He doesn't really talk very much. He has a heck of a voice, and also he is in fact the best builder in the group. Phineas is really good at building, but Ferb has a special touch to the way that he approaches situations.
Yeah, Ferb is unreal.
Yes.
Moving on, we've got Candace. Candace is the older sister of Phineas and Ferb, and she is obsessed with trying to bust the boys in the act of building their elaborate inventions by trying to show them to her mom before they inevitably disappear. That is, whenever she's not chasing after her crush, Jeremy.
Up next we have Platypus? Perry the Platypus.
Oh.
See, that makes a lot more sense. Perry is a secret agent who works for the OWCA, an organization without a cool acronym, and he spends all his time fighting the forces of evil and the evil scientists around the world, where him and the other animals that are wearing hats continuously ward off evil, and he is assigned to Dr. Doofenshmirtz.
Now, Dr. Heinz Doofenshmirtz is a not quite evil, not quite genius who is obsessed with taking over the tri-state area. He's not focused on the world, he's starting small, you gotta respect that. He's the longtime rival of Perry the Platypus, who is, ironically, the most stable relationship he has, including his rocky relationship with his ex-wife and his teenage daughter, Vanessa.
And then finally, we have the friends of Phineas and Ferb, which we'll all kind of categorize into one group. We have Baljeet, Buford, and Isabella, aka the smart guy, the big guy, and the heart. They always participate in their crazy inventions and help them come up with ideas, and just really they're there to have fun.
Yeah, and it's worth mentioning that Isabella basically has the ability to summon an army of legally distinct Girl Scouts to do pretty much anything when they need manpower. They literally moved a mountain at one point.
It was quite impressive.
Every episode of Phineas and Ferb follows the same simple formula, even right down to lines of dialogue and musical cues. Each episode starts with Phineas getting some big idea for the day, which prompts him to say,
"Ferb, I know what we're gonna do today."
Then Perry slips away to go get his mission from Major Monogram, and basically it's always fighting Doofenshmirtz.
Yeah, sometimes it's not even fighting Doofenshmirtz, it's just, hey, go see what he's doing. He's probably up to something.
Most likely.
Now we find out that he's in the process of building an alternate dimension-related innator. Your assignment is to stop him before he finishes building it. Behind you, rising dramatically from the floor, is Carl with some high-tech gadgets that you might find useful.
Next, Candace sees Phineas and Ferb working on their crazy invention in the backyard and resolves to bust them by telling Mom, a classic teenage sister move.
Mom, quick, Mom, look, before it disappears!
Well, if it isn't the welcoming committee from...
No time for dry, witty remarks. Let's move, move!
Don't you get tired of this?
What do you mean?
The same old routine every day? Doesn't it ever get, I don't know, boring?
You know what? You're right.
Perry then shows up at Doofenshmirtz Evil Incorporated and gets trapped almost immediately, complete with a jingle and all.
Okay, guys, take it from the top. Louder.
A 1, 2.
Doofenshmirtz Evil Incorporated.
After he gets trapped, Doofenshmirtz goes on his evil spiel and explains his latest innator and how it's gonna change the world, or just the tri-state area.
Speaking of stuff, you've landed on a square of the stickiest surface known to man. It's a tile from the floor of the Danville Multiplex. I discovered it when I went to go see that teen vampire movie. Loved it! And now, behold, the Gimmelstumpinator!
Cut back to Phineas and Ferb building their invention. It's basically complete at this point, and they're mostly just having fun with it for the about 5 minutes that they're going to have it.
I present to you a spectacle most of the morning in the making. The coolest coaster ever!
Yep, because meanwhile, Perry escapes and him and Doofenshmirtz duke it out, which inevitably leads to the destruction of both Doofenshmirtz's invention and whatever Phineas and Ferb have cooked up in the backyard.
Oh, there you are, Perry.
Much to the dismay of Candace, who is always this close to showing Mom whatever they've built.
And I'm sure this is new.
I worry about you sometimes, Candace.
Never quite can get the job done, Candace, can you? She does do it one time, and that is a very interesting episode that breaks all the formula.
That was a dream, though.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a depressing episode.
It was a very depressing episode.
I was as a kid. I was like, oh man, I'm bummed out now. Yeah, like we mentioned, there is a formula that's established with the show, but it doesn't mean that every episode feels the same. You can still have episodes that stand out and are very distinct from each other because of the different inventions, the different musical cues used. And it even sets up some meta jokes when characters, acknowledge their typical patterns and decide to do something out of the norm.
Doofenshmirtz abandoned vacuum cleaner factory.
Perry the platypus, we always do the same thing. I have a scheme, you try to stop me, I trap you, I tell you my scheme, you escape, then we fight and I'm defeated. Let's mix it up a little. Let me tell you what, I will tell you my scheme first, and then I will trap you. What do you say, huh? Yeah, this is much better. Okay, so here it is.
Plus, you can categorize every episode by your favorite inator of the day, which you should probably let us know what your favorite one is in the comments down below.
Okay, then we also have the Galaxy-inator, which...
And along with this episodic formula, every episode of Phineas and Ferb also includes a musical number. And because of this, we actually tried to write a little song to go in this episode. So now let's check in with our writer's room and see how that's coming along. All right, everybody, thanks for coming to the meeting this week. So this next week's episode is about Phineas and Ferb. So for the Phineas and Ferb episode, when we're going to be talking about the episode formula, I think it'd be fun to transition into a song that we wrote, since every episode of Phineas and Ferb has a song as well. So first things first, does anybody here know how to play an instrument? No? No? Austin?
Actually, I have this banjo that I can play. It's the only string percussion instrument I know, but
no banjos. Alissa, great! You can write the song for the Phineas and Ferb episode.
104 days of summer, like how the temperature was in June. All I have to worry about is keeping my strings in tune. But what would Phineas and Ferb do? What if we were in their shoes? Every day would go a little bit like this. Phineas always has a big idea, build a tiny submarine or a big arena, just so they can wrestle with their thumbs. Take a snow cone maker and make it swinter, or go even bigger, build an escalator to the moon. Then Perry, who's a platypus and also a spy, meets up with Doofenshmirtz in disguise. He's got another gadget that could conquer the world, and an inator that will make sure that Mom never knows. If you want to see a platypus fighting a man, if you want to see some kids who have too many plans, they could travel the world in just one day, or even go to space. 104 days of summer seems so long. while we're stuck here writing this song, while we're still here writing this song.
Wow, that was certainly something. Now, there are countless running gags and fan favorite moments throughout the run of Phineas and Ferb. One of my personal favorites is the running gag about Doofenshmirtz and his sad, tragic childhood, including his best friend, Balloony, which is a balloon with a face on it, and the fact that both of his parents failed to show up for his birth.
Neither of my parents showed up for my birth!
Not exactly sure how that works, but it makes for a very funny gag.
My personal favorite gag is that Doofenshmirtz can't seem to recognize that Perry the Platypus is in fact Perry the Platypus. He normally just looks at it and says, "A platypus? Perry the Platypus?" Every single time. I don't know. He has like some kind of facial...
Some kind of face blindness? I don't know. Maybe
he needs to see the hat.
Maybe he doesn't want to assume that all platypi look the same. Maybe he wants to make sure.
Maybe he's just looking after the animals of the world because he's
an
like, he can't go attacking everything.
Hey,
you know?
he's an evil genius. He's not a monster.
Exactly.
So tell me, other dimension me, what do you see here? An ordinary platypus? And now, what do you see? Perry the Platypus! You know, I'm starting to see why you haven't become a ruler in your dimension.
Phineas and Ferb have also had a couple notable crossovers with big franchises like Star Wars and Marvel, so we get to see them on the Death Star with, of course, Doofenshmirtz as an inept Darth Vader, and we get to see them meet up with the Avengers, including Tony Stark, a famous inventor.
Yeah, you really see them bounce off of Tony Stark mostly in that because he's kind of just appreciating how fantastical inventors they are themselves. They really do rival Tony Stark, I feel.
Aren't they a bit young to be inventors who can rival Tony Stark?
Yes, they are.
Well, the power siphoning ray originated in the tri-state area, and I was thinking you guys would know something about it since it bounced off your space station.
Are you sure it was our space station?
It was shaped like your head.
Well, that sounds like ours.
Now, some of you at home might be thinking to yourselves, well, this show's been off the air since 2015, so why bother still talking about it today? Well, for us, the generation who grew up watching this show on TV, it was something that represented the magic and the endless possibilities that summer vacation could bring. And even though none of us here have ever built a rocket or fought a mummy or climbed up the Eiffel Tower, we'll all have our own special memories of summer that we'll cherish forever. Unfortunately, that is all the time we have today to talk about Phineas and Ferb. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Geeking Out About It. As always, be sure to subscribe to KBVR TV so you don't miss out on any episodes of any of our shows. Also, be sure to follow us on social media. We've got Twitter and Instagram, and we also live stream on Twitch at twitch.tv/KBVRTV26. For Geeking Out About It, I'm Chance Giguiere.
And I'm Sam Kuns.
Thank you for watching.
104 days of summer, like how the temperature was in June. All I have to worry about is keeping my strings in tune. But what would Phineas and Ferb do? What if we were in their shoes? Every day would go a little bit like this.